right behind our road downstairs in the main chamber, plus we have to have stops on, so there's two tuning. Somebody will sit down here and kind of do the pipes and all that good stuff. Look here. Here are 32-foot gamba and 32-foot diapole. Horizontally on the floor. If you have any of Peter's recordings, the Legacy CD has the Dupre Crucifixion for the Symphony Passion, which the crucifixion movement starts out with an odd theme in the pedal, and it features 32 gamba with some other strings. Very prominent stop is very useful in context of the whole organ. So come out and we'll go around. Some of these pictures are things that we didn't get to see because basically of insurance purposes we can't take certain people through the organ with tour groups and so forth. So this is the top of the big Bertha pipe you saw downstairs. Even if I had you look up when we were walking up, it was all dark, it's just out of sight. This is actually not the ethereal division, that's labeled incorrectly. It's the echo division, which is opposite the main organ on the 7th floor. That's low C of the 32 principal. We were standing right beneath it a few minutes ago. Picture of the Deacon tower chimes, and they were actually specially made. Deacon made other sets of tower chimes back in the day, but they're on the 7th floor, either side of the ethereal division. And Deacon was responsible, you music majors, for basically making 440 hertz standard pitch in 1919. And so at the time the chimes were added to this organ, 440 was already standard. And since they made the chimes, they actually had to pitch the chimes lower to make it match the pitch of the organ, which is 435. That's the solo division. Got gobs and gobs and gobs of reeds. You don't even see not even a third of that division in that picture. It's just huge. Very historic photos in 2008 for Macy's 150th anniversary. They brought in the Philly Orchestra with Ross and Milanoff, and they premiered the Joseph Jongen Symphony Concertante, which was actually written for the organ and for the Philly Orchestra, but had never been premiered here in 80 years of its existence, because after Rodman died, the Philly Orchestra after-hours concerts stopped. So that was the first after-hours orchestra concert with the organ in 80 years, and we actually had our second orchestra performance this past October for the organ centennial, Symphony in C. This is referred to as the Brickman organ chamber. This is the late Mr. and Mrs. Brickman. And interesting story, she used to come and have lunch on the 3rd floor at the old restaurant across from the organ every day and listen to the organ concerts. And one of our staff members, Wally McLean, developed a relationship, a friendship with her, and she ended up giving her life's estate for the restoration of the orchestral division. But unfortunately she passed away before its completion. So this is the Brickman organ chamber, thanks to the Wanamaker building and Macy's for their money, and for Mrs. Brickman as well. And this is an example of the kind of work we do in the organ shop. Be careful when there's stuff coming up. So all those French horns, clarinets, and English horns and everything you heard came from in here. It's all been fully restored. The reeds were sent out for full restoration. An interesting story about the pipework here in the back where we're standing. These are all flutes, and when Rodman died, the Wanamaker heirs said, all right, that's it. No more money for the organ, no more space in the store for the organ. We're going to bring in the B-grade organ teams. All the grade A organ teams were fired. And so lots of this pipework back here was never voiced. It was never finished. It was just thrown in, didn't even play. And so one of the reasons I was hired was to finish the work that they started. And so we've just, in the last couple of months, finished all these flutes, and they're wonderful, wonderful various colors back here, in addition to all the reeds, which are Kimball as well. So there's a 16-foot saxophone, which has not been installed all the way yet. We just have samples. This is a 16-foot bass clarinet, English horn. In front of it will go a bassoon, 8-foot clarinet, 8-foot The big pipes that look funny in the front are the bases for the French horns, which are here in the tenor, octave, and treble range. And they're all incredibly unique. I don't know of any other organ in the world that boasts 3 French horns. And it was really cool because in the Philly Orchestra concert, the conductor stopped and said, "Are those your French horns or my French horns? Are those your strings or my strings?" And they're unlike any other design of French horns and even the strings in organ building. So it's really quite remarkable what they were able to do. And then down in front you see the wee tiny little canora in between the French horn bases, which is typically a theater organ stop, and it's not necessarily used by itself, but can be, but it's used to color the other reeds. It's called the canora. Yeah. It's a little thin, buzzy sound.
How long do the reeds last?
The reeds inside, they're made of brass, so they're not like a typical reed for an orchestral instrument or anything like that, no.
Okay.
Where does this project to? What is this out
On the
here?
side, so if we were to look out the shutters, you would see the organ case down, essentially adjacent to where we're now.
Shut it there.
Yes.
Yep. Swell shades. Oops.